Donald Trump does not have a hotel in Baku, Azerbaijan. All right. So on the in the comments, I keep seeing people referencing part of the reason Donald Trump is a problem. Like, it would not be the right choice on election day because he's in bed with the Azerbaijanis, the Turks, the corruption at the highest level, because he just wants to put a hotel in Baku. And so I've seen that a couple times mentioned, referenced in the comment section. It's a myth. All right, subscribe and share this link. I'm going to just go through it real quick. All right. People will say you're just a Trump apologist. I'm like, no, I'm just reading. I'm reading the facts. And you have to properly understand things. If you just hear, oh, he has a hotel, Trump Hotel, and he's doing business with the Azerbaijanis, so that's bad for Armenia. Well, number one, Azerbaijan, back when this conflict, the current conflict started in the late 80s, early 90s, both these countries kind of ground to a stalemate because they were pretty poor countries, and they were just like, it was a stalemate. And so this ceasefire happened. And in that time, this incredibly, like, one of the largest oil deposits on the planet was discovered under the Caspian Sea right there at Baku. And then Azerbaijan's GDP, like their national net worth, what the value they have, just skyrocketed. And so it's just this prosperous city. Baku's, it's right there on the sea, and it's a seaport and modern city for all intents and purposes. And so it's a thriving business there. So let me just, without belaboring this too much, let's talk about Trump and his hotels. This will also get a little bit into Trump's just trying to enrich himself as the president. He just became president to get rich. This is from a periodical called Bustle. The amount of hotels Trump owns is actually not what you might think. There's a nice picture. Trump International Hotel. This one's in Vancouver, I believe. All right, let's just do that. Before becoming president of the United States and prior to hosting The Apprentice, Donald Trump was most famous for his real estate. With the name Trump proudly slapped on properties across the world, one might assume the media mogul owns hundreds of hotels, but in fact, the number of hotels Trump owns isn't actually that high. The Trump Organization lists just 11 hotel properties on its website. The flagship property is Trump's hometown. Is in Trump's hometown, the Trump International Hotel in Tower, New York. The other U.S. hotels are located in Chicago, Miami, Waikiki, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, and the Albemarle Estate at Trump Winery in Virginia. Internationally, the Trump Organization owns two hotels in Scotland, one in Ireland, and the most recently built Trump International Hotel and Tower in Vancouver. And that's the picture that we saw above. All right, I'm not going to get into all this. This is the Vancouver one. So, yeah, he's got hotels, and I just listed the hotels that he has. Now, but it's not. These are the ones that his company owns. But it says, wait, aren't there more buildings and hotels with Trump's name on them? The answer is yes. But just because property has been labeled with Trump doesn't necessarily mean the Trump Organization owns it. All right, so what happens here, I won't read it all. I'm going to read more of this a little bit later. But Trump, being a businessman, recognizes that his name is a brand. All right, he's a brand. Did I say subscribe? I'm just going to break here in the middle. Subscribe and share and subscribe and click the notification bell. Thank you. That will help. Trump is a brand, and a successful brand, especially when The Apprentice was successful. And the word Trump, it has a meaning other than a name. If you had a name like Gavlak, it doesn't actually mean anything. Unless I got super famous or, something like that, it would have some value. But Trump is a word that has power, right? The Trump card in a game that you play, or, and then it just happens to be his name, and he's a rich guy. And so it's just an easy brand. And so he recognized the value of that brand. He sells it. Just put my name on your building and it will draw people to you. and you just pay me for it. He's not owning these things. He's recognizing that people will want to capitalize on the brand. That's it. All right, but let me talk about this. Where did this thing come from, this myth that Trump has a hotel in Baku? All right, Trump International Hotel and Tower in Baku. Here's a picture of it. You can even see right there Trump on the top of it. And this is 2015. Now, first of all, Donald Trump became president in 2016. This business deal started long before that. Trump International Hotel and Tower is an unfinished 33-floor hotel and condominium tower located in the Nasimi district in Baku, Azerbaijan. Construction began in 2008 when the project was initially planned as an apartment building. Project is owned by Baku 21st Century. Businessman Donald Trump became involved with the unfinished project in May of 2012. 3 years before he announced his candidacy for the presidency and 4 years before he became president. Through his company, the Trump Organization, Trump announced his involvement with the project in November of 2014 with plans to have the building opened as a hotel and condominium property in June 2015. Construction was delayed. The project remained unfinished after Trump announced his candidacy for U.S. president in the 2016 election. Several news organizations reported on his involvement with the project with raised questions about possible corruption involving the Mammadov family. So one of the families involved in this is rumored to be corrupt, and that does not go without, it's not surprising. Let's just jump down to Trump involvement right here. In May 2012, businessman Donald Trump's company, the Trump Organization, signed multiple contracts with Elton and Anar Mammadov and planned to renovate the tower into an ultra-luxury property. Trump also licensed his name to the project, which would be named as the Trump International Hotel and Tower Baku. The first 13 floors would feature hotel rooms, while the remaining floors of the 30 would be for condominiums. The hotel was to be managed by Trump's company. Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, oversaw the project's overall development, et cetera, et cetera. Then, in 2015, the Trump Organization sent the Mammadov family numerous default notices because of late payments relating to the project. So he's just getting involved in something that's already going, and for some reason things are getting held up, and he's telling them, what's going on, guys? If I'm going to put my name on something, you better get your act together. In July 2015, a hotel spokesman said the project would open by the end of the year. The building was removed from the Trump Hotels Collections website in September 2015. In March 2016, the Trump Organization stated that due to the developer falling behind in certain construction milestones, the project is currently held in abeyance and not being actively marketed. A fire occurred inside the building on August 11, 2016. After Trump was elected as president, the Trump Organization ended its affiliation with, so he pulled out, and that's what I heard. Like, well, not only did he pull out of this deal, but he officially is no longer involved in Trump business operations at all as president. So it's anything you can do to remove conflict of interest. Of course, after he finishes, he'll be able to, return to that position. But what this is a business deal. It's a business deal that a businessman makes, and things fell through probably because of the corruption there. There's apparently a whole lot of corruption in Baku in Azerbaijan when you have a dictatorship that's ultra rich, one of the richest governments, one of the richest ruling families on the planet. That's another detail I've come across in all this research. They are uber rich. This president, I don't remember his name, but president of Azerbaijan and his family. There's no democratic elections there. They're just super corrupt. Over here, we got elections at least. There's still corruption. But let me get back to the bottom of this article, the one from Bustle, and finish this out. People think Trump's just trying to make more money as president. He was already a billionaire. It's like, and this article makes the case that becoming president is actually bad for business. So listen, but Trump's ascendance to the Oval Office hasn't necessarily been good for the Trump hotel business. The Independent outlined in January how prices for rooms at Trump properties had dropped significantly since the billionaire mogul's inauguration. The Independent reported that the rate for a 2-night stay in a luxury room at one of Trump's properties had dropped 25%. Between January 2017 and January 2018, the price for a less ritzy room had dropped by even more, 35%. Some properties have been harder hit than others. For instance, a 2-night stay at the Trump International Hotel Las Vegas fell a whopping 66% from 2017 to 2018. And a year after Trump's election, only 2 Trump properties were charging more. So there's like a 4 and a 5% increase at a couple of them. So most of them are losing money. There are, however, some groups drop. Okay, so this is evidence that Trump is losing money by being president. It's the vitriol and the hatred. He's brought it upon himself for the most part, just by his temperament. But he's always been that way. That's the thing. Like, people loved it before he was president. There's all these rappers that were bragging about being like Donald Trump, and that was just his personality. And then becomes president. It's like, that's the thing they target, his personality. All right. But him making money as president, I don't know. There may be some arguments for it, but here's an argument against it. And if this is true that he's losing money, I don't know that he could have predicted that people would have hated him so much that they would never stay at one of his properties. And so the demand goes down and they have to drop the rates of the rooms. And so his businesses are suffering as a result. I don't know. He could have predicted that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if anybody could have predicted that. But the mere fact that he's running for office again proves that he's not in it for the money, right? If he quit, he says, you know what, my businesses have suffered so much, I'm gonna not run again, so that maybe we can recoup some of those losses. I'm sure he's arrogant and has a power trip, but it is possible that he actually has a good motivation and is doing the right thing. He's doing some of the right things, like look at what's going on in the Middle East. His foreign policy is probably his greatest strength. Like, one of my big things is ending death, right? Stop killing each other so we're not involved in wars. He's apparently the first president forever to not start a new war. And the sex trafficking, human trafficking trade is like been on his radar, and he's been. I follow that stuff, and the drug trafficking, all of that stuff is diminished precipitously. More than any other under his presidency. So that's all. I'm going to wrap this up here. It's a myth. He's not in bed with the Azerbaijan. It's just a business deal. Armenia, if it had super rich oil resources, he'd probably want to build a hotel there as well. So he's not picking Azerbaijan over Armenia. It was an opportunity that fell through, and I'm grateful that it fell through. All right, subscribe, share, click the notification bell.